I have heard it said before that if you have a take that irritates both sides of the political aisle in America, then you're probably pretty close to the truth. And boys and girls, today's video is going to make everybody mad. We're talking about the Judge Kano situation. You guys have seen this all over the place. It's all over the news. It's everywhere. And we made a video about some of the dumb things that Pam Bondi said about this the other day, but I want to do a follow-up because I have since done some more research on this thing, and here's a reference clip.
A street chase, which is absurd that had to happen. But yes, she put a lot of people in danger. That judge did it. So did the other judge. Judge Kano is charged with, they were allegedly giving him assault rifles, AK-47s, AR-15s, with a suppressor, a known TDA member, letting him go to a shooting range to refine and perfect his shooting skills.
Is that what happened? No, I don't believe that is what happened. Based on everything that we can see online about this, it doesn't fit. Today's video is brought to you by the Modern Gun School. This is not the other place that you've heard online that is cool with taking your entire GI Bill and running with it. This is an accredited online university. Whether you just want to learn a few things or you want to break into a career in the firearms industry, check them out at Modern Gun School, and let's hop into the video. This is obviously being sensationalized at the expense of the Second Amendment by the Attorney General, and perhaps if she would get off of Fox News every night and go do her job, then maybe she would be better informed. But we did a full video on, first of all, why those aren't assault rifles, and we're going to expand on that a little bit. I did a video basically about the nomenclature of the term assault rifle, and many of you would argue that there is no such thing as an assault rifle, but this is a term that is used by a lot of people, and there's a correct use for it, and the Attorney General obviously did not use it properly. Why do you call a spoon a spoon? The term assault rifle has fallen out of use over the years simply because we have better descriptors today that are more specific than that term itself. And I suppose that would also show the aptitude of the Attorney General as it pertains to Second Amendment related things. If you're using the term assault rifle, then I would be concerned that you know what end the bullets come out of if you're using that term. But anyway, I digress. In order for that term to be properly applied to any device, that device must be capable of achieving fully automatic fire. There is no evidence, as far as I've been able to find from combing through the internet for the last couple days, and some of my friends also combing through the internet, that Judge Kano owns a machine gun. Even though it does appear that he is indeed a gun guy. Like, for instance, they own night vision in that household. So that level of gun person, even though he's a Democrat. There is no evidence that he owns a machine gun or that he allowed the particular individual to fire a machine gun. We'll come back to that here shortly. There are three specific instances that I want to point to. There are three weapons. The one is the rifle that you see passed around the family home. We have video of it firing, and it is only ever fired in semi-automatic. There is another weapon that might be that same gun with different optics on it. We can't really tell because it's farther away, but it is only ever fired in semi-automatic. And then the third one is just a still image of the particular person in question holding a pistol and then an AR pistol. It doesn't matter if it's got a 20-inch barrel, doesn't matter if it's got a 10-inch barrel. Machine gun trumps all. So there is no reason that you would own a machine gun and have a pistol stabilizing brace on it. It doesn't matter as far as the legalese is concerned. And the judge would obviously know that as well. So there's no reason that there would be a pistol stabilizing brace on a fully automatic weapon unless they were doing some kind of absurd demo like I do, right? Where we're doing it on purpose for the sake of a particularly narrow demonstration. That's not what they were doing, and that's not something that they do, so they would not be doing that. Anyway, what I'm saying is that there is no evidence that any of these weapons or fully automatic. So the term assault rifle simply does not apply. And again, the Attorney General is wrong.
Judge Kano is charged with, they were allegedly giving him assault rifles.
That is not what they're being charged with. And I got a real problem with the Attorney General alluding to that for sensational reasons. They're being charged with harboring. And we'll come back to that here in a minute because I think there's some stuff to unpack on the harboring thing as well. But when it comes to gun rights, when it comes to the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, all that sort of stuff, we use the term God-given inalienable rights. And those words, when put into that configuration, seem to convey an inherent nature to those rights, as in when you are born with the right to defend yourself. Now, you may not be able to exercise that right until you reach the age of majority, but you as a human are born, gifted by your creator is the terminology that was originally written, those rights. And that would suggest that they do not come from government. And this is an argument that has been made over and over and over again. I think we can all agree that your rights do not come from government. They are natural. They are inherent to you being a human being. I'm a big uniform application of logic person. And that would mean that those rights transcend borders. We're having this exact argument right now. The right of me, an Ohioan, to go to some rabid gun control state and defend myself, national reciprocity. We're having that conversation right now, right? Why, then, if this is a natural right that is inherent to you being a human, does it matter whether you have legal status in the United States or not? I understand that it is the law of the land, right? That's the way that it is. I think that law is wrong on so many levels, but just because you do not have legal citizenship status does not mean that you do not have a right to defend yourself. It is just simply that America is one of the only places on the planet that recognizes the God-given inalienable right to self-defense. If you deviate from that uniform application of logic, well, then those rights start looking a lot more like privileges, and privileges can be revoked. Now, when it comes to the limits of those rights, the Supreme Court has done a whole lot to, or not a whole lot, but a decent amount to define the limits of what can be curtailed and what cannot be. When can those rights be taken? And for the sake of brevity and not rehashing all of the litigation and jurisprudence that has been done over the years, basically, if you can be determined to be a bad guy, then we can take your guns from you, at least temporarily. And it would seem to me that all things considered, that the person that the judge and his wife have been hanging around with meets the criteria.
These two, the judge and his wife, gave him assault rifles that belonged to their daughter. That's what they're charged with. In the criminal report affidavit, he goes to a shooting range with these assault rifles, with a suppressor, with other known TDA members, and they're shooting.
What does that mean? Because we got some problems here. Or at least I got some problems, and you should have some problems with this as well. Because let's use our imagination for a second and delete the knowledge of this dude is probably TDA, right? But if you showed me a bunch of gang tattoos, I have no idea what I'm looking at, right? Look how white I am. I have no clue what any of that stuff means, okay? And to be honest, neither did you until you saw the images side by side, right? So let's be real here. Hindsight is always 20/20. So let's discount that for a second. So we have somebody who likely, I would say, the judge knows is in the country illegally, right? But as far as I can tell, the owner of those weapons is present at the shooting range while those guns are being used. And I have friends that come into the country, particularly around SHOT Show time, that shoot guns the entire time that they're there. It's not illegal to do that. And it's not wrong to do that. I find the attitude of the Attorney General in this regard to be very gun control-y, right? Which is par for the course for her.
Let law enforcement come in and take the guns.
Now, once you shuffle back in the whole TDA thing, when did they know this? The judge says that he didn't know this until he was arrested. So I guess you also have to take that with a grain of salt because he's an attorney first and then a judge, second, obviously. He has a legal education. I do not know whether this is a reasonable take for the Department of Justice to take or not, because I am not well-versed in gang tattoos. Neither are you, at least most of you, I hope, anyway. And I don't know that the judge is. He's from the area. Maybe he would know more about it. I don't know what his aptitude in Spanish is or any of that sort of stuff, right? So I cannot speak to that, right? So I have to give the benefit of the doubt on it because I wouldn't have any idea what I'm looking at either, whether the Department of Justice is on point with that one or not. But let's go to the harboring thing for a second, because I want to go to that and then come back to the gun stuff, because there's a little bit of a curveball when it comes to the gun stuff. I come to find out that not only is the judge a judge, but him and his wife are also involved in real estate. They have a bunch of rentals, right? And apparently the short story is that they hired this dude to do some work for them, and then they offered him a casita, which is Spanish for small house. This sounds to me like the renting to the dude under the table, right? Like, we have renters. Like, we have a rental property, and I have 3 friends that have rental properties, and they're in relatively close proximity to their home, even though, well, actually one of them would be attached to the property, and technically ours is attached to the property as well. So I guess what I would say is the term living with us, those folks over there do not live with us, even though we're very friendly with some of them. We would not classify them as living with us, even though that rental is close to the family property. Now, if the position of the federal government is that we want to make it really, really hard for people to be here illegally, as in, like, can't find a place to work, can't find a place to live type thing, then that's okay. But as far as, like, tagging this as harboring and then piling the gun stuff on top of it, I got problems with that, because I don't believe that that's what's going on here. And this is where I think where the truth actually lies, because I hear the daughter referenced a couple times. Now, I have scoured the internet. I cannot find this woman. It appears that she is an adult, so we're going to talk about this. The daughter is referenced as periodically allowing him to hold and shoot her guns, as in she has weapons of her own. Now, probably some of those were gifted by dad, as in dad did the 4473 and all that sort of stuff and then gifted the weapons to daughter, right? Where is the daughter? Does she live in the casita with shitbag over there? I think that's probably likely. You see what I'm putting down? If the government would like to throw the book at the transnational terrorist, then that's fine. But the rest of this stuff, I find to be a little bit slimy. One, for the sensational nature that the Attorney General has displayed on national television, but also the slippery slope type thing that we've got going on here, where it's like, you let somebody hold your pistol, therefore you supplied weapons for them. And look, I've seen the dude shoot, and what the Attorney General did say was he clearly needs help improving his shooting because he fucking sucks. Like, we're talking like missing targets at like 10 yards type thing. It was really, really bad. He ought to go to prison for that. Shameful. That aside, I guess what I'm trying to say here is this situation is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating in my mind. However, I think that there is an example here of where the government may be going a little bit too far when it comes to some of this stuff. And whenever we're looking at something through the lens of this whole, like, dealing with the cartels thing, people tend to kind of skid off the rails a little bit, where it's like, well, the government can do whatever they want and I'm not going to say anything about it. Whereas if you take the element of the cartel member out of it and change those parameters to just about anything else. And I think that most people will see the problem there with the government overreaching when it comes to messing with people's firearms rights and what is and is not illegal and what should and should not be illegal. Anyway, I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you in another video here pretty soon.